One of a Kind with Rob Van Dam is recorded in front of a live studio audience.
One of a Kind with RVD is presented by Get Blitzed, and you can get 15% off your order when you head to get-blitz.com and use promo code RVD. Get 15% off.
That I think might be the most exposing move in the business is the Tombstone pile driver. Which, by the way, thought of this very creative idea. I want to start picking from the comments on my YouTube page at The Real RVD and picking one or two, and answering them on here. Because to the listeners, I do go to my YouTube page and I read the comments. And if you look and you see that little thumbs up button was pressed, because I hit like on all of y'all, even if you're trying to be mean and think you're hurting somebody, whatever. Boom, I appreciate your feedback. And that comes from me. And I comment just like on any of my social media when I'm inspired to do so. That's my policy is, a lot of times I'm trying to scroll through, trying to read all the update myself, get to the point where I left off last time when I checked yesterday, day before, whatever, boom, boom, boom. And then you ask, hey, Rob, who is your toughest opponent? I might not feel like stopping and answering that right there. Speaking of which, we have a clip from my movie that I did with Batista. In fact, I think a second clip now, but with Ja Rule. And it's got a lot of numbers. It's got a lot of people coming to it. And a lot of people, I must have seen this question, anyway, at least half a dozen times. I think more, and more with the new clip today too. But people keep saying, what is this movie? And I haven't bothered to answer it because I just figure, hey, if you Google Batista and Rob Van Dam movie, boom, I'm sure you're going to see it. And I know that you guys are way more tech savvy than RVD here because I can barely figure out how to turn my phone on personally. So it's called Wrong Side of Town to answer everyone at the same time because that was asked a lot. So I just want to tell you that I've done a lot of movies, not a lot as far as like wrestling. In wrestling, if you've had 20 matches or 30 matches, that's not a lot. With movies, I consider it a lot, but it's not a lot, to a veteran that's been working, don't tell Robert De Niro. I ain't no big shot. But I probably have done quite a few, though, that you don't know about. And that's the point that I'm thinking of. And if you look up, there's a place, there's an app and a site called IMDb, which is the International Movie Database. So you can look up any stars on there. I use it a lot for when I'm like, oh, where do I know this girl from? I saw her in something just the other day in a different movie, and then the one I'm watching now, and then I got to look up the one I'm on now, and then find her, and then find the other movies she's done. Oh, of course. I use it for that a lot. But anyway, Wrong Side of Town, Lionsgate, Ja Rule, yes, sir. That was a lot of fun. And I'm going to pick, there's a couple other ones right here. One of them says, this is from Pleasantly Disturbing.
Ooh,
right?
Okay.
He says, why did WWE movies look like low budget porn acting? And I thought I would take that question to address a point that I would like to make in case somehow this has escaped capture by a lot of people's minds or imaginations. All right, you ready for this?
I'm ready.
Wrestling is porn. When you look at it, no matter which one you're talking about, wrestling or porn, you're watching something to escape the reality, and the more you can believe what they're doing, the more you invest your emotions, and that has a lot to depend on their acting and their performance. And if they fuck up and they do something that all of a sudden like ruins the whole fantasy or the whole feel that you had, the whole fun you were having with it, now all of a sudden it looks, like, no, they're just working together. It totally can take you out of it and take you away from what they're trying to do, which is distract you from the real world in such a way that allows you to follow them. The better they are, the more escape you are allowed to do with them, and thereby invest your emotions more into said entertainment. And that is the same agenda all the way till the end. The big, the finish is what a lot of people remember, but everything leading up till that as well is so important. And you don't want to be hearing the director's voice, calling shots and stuff, because you want to think it ain't. They're not working. They're into it. Like I want them to be into it. And so that is the art. Also, with wrestling, that's why it bothers me when it's just thrown out the window and people just stand there waiting to catch somebody outside the ring, because that is the equivalent of the director saying, scream a little louder, honey. Okay, so there's that. Also, this one is from Viking Hammer 87. RVD's little rabbit punches were some of the worst working punches in the business, up there with Shane. Yeah, I didn't really study Shane's, but this is in response to a video that I did. And a lot of people, I think, just read the headline that said that I hated The Rock's punches and then just commented on that. But I appreciate you guys stopping by, giving us some little love as well. But the whole story was that my rabbit punches did suck until about 2002-ish. And so I did like 12, 13 years not really knowing how to throw a pro wrestling punch. And as we discussed in detail, a shoot punch that you throw fast and hide because you don't want anyone to see it coming is not conducive to the entertainment value of a big, wide swing that seems to connect and knock a guy out of the ring. So big difference. And so I was told, probably by Sabu, way back, until I learned how to punch, just throw forearms. So mostly that is what I did. But every once in a while I would throw punches and it felt like I was doing them good. And then I'd watch them and be like, man, that does not come across. But it was like 2002 or 3, probably 2, that Blackjack Lanza said, you know what? You're going to come out here to the lobby with me and we're not going to leave until you know how to punch. I was like, okay, so that's it. By the time we come back here, you're going to throw a good punch. And he did. He showed me. And so, anybody, you probably don't notice, no one's throwing out there, yeah, RVD's got one of the best punches. But if you watch anything after, I saw the Cena and RVD match, and I was like, oh, here's a great example, because we're the yay, boo, yay, boo. And just like my kicks, once I learned how to throw that punch in, let's just say there's not much room, not much margin for error. And so that has a lot to do with not being afraid to take a risk of maybe contacting somebody. But anyway, in that match, they cut the cameras. And that used to always bother me in WWE when I first got there too. I would remember certain kicks that I thought, wow, I can't wait to see that match back. And we watched the matches back the next day at TVs in the catering always from the night before. Anyway, sometimes on the TVs, not sometimes, let's say all the time, I'll go to watch a certain kick, whether it's off the top rope, a one-legged extended kick, a hi-ya kick, crane kick, which I just recently learned, somewhat recently, that it's called. Anyway, they cut the camera like boom, like right when I'm about to connect, they cut it and show from behind, boom, and show them fall. And it's probably done as a protective cushion, but because that was a part of my art form, was really laying it in there, I resented that they did that to my moves. And while we're on the subject, let me just say, I think, because I say, like the new style, it looks like, they work together and they lost the competition, this and that. Not just me, a lot of people say it. And, it's just when we're commenting on it. But I got to say, something that's been around forever and ever that I think might be the most exposing move in the business is the Tombstone pile driver. Someone said that Undertaker threw the best punches, and that sounds right. Like I haven't seen him since I read that, so I hadn't had that in mind. But when I picture it, it seems like I remember him like really giving and taking good punches. But whenever I see a Tombstone pile driver, and it's clearly obvious to everybody because you are allowed a clear visual line to the person's head. There's 99% of the Tombstone pile drivers I see, there's this much space between their head and the ground. Otherwise, I would think the move is supposed to maybe like drive their head down into the ground. Obviously, that must not be it because it never looks like their head goes into the ground, almost never. And so I've always just wondered, like, is it just like, boom, it's supposed to like jar your spine because it's got you like in an upside down reverse bear hug or something, and then boom, and it jars your spine? Because if that's what it is, that I apologize, I get it. Otherwise, I don't really understand what that is supposed to accomplish. And I remember the first time I remember noticing one of the guys, it was either Taker or Kane, was doing it to Linda McMahon, like on the steps. And I was like, yeah, but clearly there was 3 feet, between her head. And like, and I've always wondered, like, they can't be implying that we're not seeing what we're seeing, right?
Right.
I don't know. So maybe you can explain that one to me.
I think that it is, but I always, as a fan growing up and everything like that, I always thought it was like, oh, he's supposed to be dropping him on his head. That's where the impact is. It's not like, I never would think it was like, oh, he's trying to jar the spine or anything like that. I know sometimes when I see it, like the way the person gets dropped, like when like Taker or somebody lets go of them, it kind of makes it maybe look a little bit more, oh, okay, he dropped him on his head. But like it kind of
After he lets go of them?
Yeah, when he lets go of them, it kind of gives that, it kind of masks that visual for you a little bit. But I'm kind of with you. Like, it does kind of take you out of it. And usually when I'm watching a Tombstone pile driver get executed, I'm more so like, I hope there's clearance there. Like, I'm more concerned for the wrestler, like, not getting hurt now and seeing, like, I don't want his head to hit the ground or anything like that. But it ultimately does take you out of what you were saying, when it comes to that stuff. So, yeah, I'd like to hear some of the chat's feedback too on that if you know that. So if you have a different opinion or thought on that. Yeah, very
What's
interesting.
the answer? Maybe y'all have the answer.
Mm-hmm. But no, you're right though. Like, that analogy you compare with porn and wrestling, it's like there's those moments. It's like you want to be completely invested in whatever you're watching, and if there's something that takes you out of it, then you're taken out of it. It's a really, really fascinating comparison. It is. So, good stuff, Rob. What a way to kick things off. We are live. We have a lot of super chats here already, so I thank everybody for doing that and definitely engaging. We got some newcomers in here. We have some familiar faces in Greg Jacobson, Triple E. I want to shout out to some. There's a new gal named Priscilla in the house. Somebody's from Spain in here. We got a good turnout here.
Yes, Neil.
We are worldwide, baby. Somebody, Todd from New Hampshire, shout out to him. Shout out to all you guys. Yeah, feel free to use the super chat or just ask a question. But I want to thank Jim D for just $10. If you have a question, Jim, let me know, and I'll be sure to pop it up. You don't got to pay anything.
Right on, Jim.
Yeah, right on there, man.
Stepping right up front.